Hi, so I want to share with you my thoughts on what I think is really important um, to recover from having gone through a breakup. If you're somebody that's been with a person who has borderline personality disorder. And again, if you're new to the channel, this channel is dedicated to non borderlines, codependents who have been or are in a relationship with somebody who actually has borderline personality disorder. It is a real mental illness, a very specific mental illness. And so please make sure that you do your research to find out what that is, because there's a lot of people with a lot of different problems, and not everybody's a borderline. Um, but what do you do when you know you've been in a relationship with a borderline? You've just been discarded, you've gone through a horrible breakup, or you have had to leave for your own sanity or your own safety. Um, what do? How do you heal from it? I have achieved a measure of health and healing from having been in a relationship with a borderline. And so I know how important it is and how difficult, because I remember when I didn't think I was ever going to recover. If you go back in time and watch the first videos that you saw on here, I was at a place where I didn't think I was going to recover. It felt as though I was going to be there forever. And I do think there is a danger of that. I've run into people since on the channel who I believe are still arrested emotionally and stuck in the pain. They're stuck in the obsession. They're stuck in the addiction, even though they haven't been with their borderline for a long time. And the worst thing I've seen is people who have had their whole sense of self destroyed, their belief in themselves, um, their confidence, their hope, their love of life, any ambition. It's all been taken from them, and they're just really just sort of barely making it through life. And that is a real thing that can happen. This is what borderline personality disorder does. It's a horrific mental illness, and there isn't anybody that isn't victimized by it. The borderline is victimized. They have to live with this illness, and those that get close to the untreated borderline. This is actually something. Some people get upset when I say, that the borderline can infect you with their disease, but it's really true. If you get really wrapped up in that enough, it can get in you and stay there, and then you end up taking that with you, and it's really horrible. So I wanted to share what I think was important. What I've been trying to do is I've been trying to take my mind and go back to that time, go back to specifically when the the splitting started to happen, which then started created this feeling of craziness within me, and I thought I was going insane. I really thought I was losing my mind, and there was this pit in my stomach, this emptiness and this like black hole of despair and emptiness and insecurity and just these horrible feelings that I hadn't felt in a really long time, and it was really frightening me. And I was really worried for my health and my sanity. I mean, seriously, I thought it was going to physically make me ill. And so my recovery actually started before I got completely out of the relationship. And thankfully, because I had had enough history in 12-step work and in therapy, that I knew that something was really wrong, and I knew that my boundaries were being really trashed. And so I started setting up my boundaries. So I guess that's the first thing. The first thing to do is to first acknowledge the craziness and the pain that you're in. Don't minimize it, because it's real easy to minimize it. And I can remember minimizing my pain and minimizing how crazy I felt and minimizing the damage that was being done to me, because it didn't make sense. Because the borderline, number one, doesn't understand what they're doing. They have no clue what they're doing to you. and the effect that it's having on you. They're just doing their thing. And they also are the borderline is very confusing because they come across like they really have it together, like they really know what's going on, and that they're really conscious and high functioning. And it's not until now for me 6 months later that I'm looking back and I'm seeing that during all the whole time she was completely out of control the whole time. There was never a point, even the times that I thought she was really had it together and in control, when I look back at it now, she was not. It was a facade. So, first thing you need to know is that the craziness and the pain that you're feeling is real. Do not minimize it, and that you are in trouble. If you feel like you're in trouble, you are. The second thing to do is to then start doing probably the most difficult thing you can do, which is to lay down your boundaries. For that, the specific boundaries, make sure that you have plenty of time to yourself, make sure that you have plenty of time for rest, make sure that you have plenty of time to eat, that you have your life, and your life comes first. And if the borderline calls you with a frantic phone call for you to drop everything and go and take them to the hospital or whatever the hell, you say, I can't do that right now. I have to take care of myself. You'll find out how quickly the borderline, how much they want to be with you when you start laying down boundaries. They'll walk away quick as hell when you start laying down boundaries. When you don't jump to their every need and desire, you'll find out real quick how important you are to them. So, first thing is to have all of your feelings and not minimize how horrific you are in, and to really honestly take a look at, wow, my life is coming apart. This relationship is destroying me. Second thing is to start laying down boundaries. Now, I'm saying that because I'm remembering that I was still in it, and I was still getting hoovered back into the relationship and then getting discarded and hoovered back in. And as much as I knew that it was bad for me, I couldn't stop. I didn't have the ability to stop myself from going back into it. But while I was doing that, I was starting to, it was like being, going down the rapids of a river. I still had like my rope, which is my boundaries, and I was, throwing it onto the, trying to hook it onto a branch of a tree or something. So start laying your boundaries down. That will start giving you something to stand on. And then let's see what happened next. So for me, what ended up happening is that I really started investigating borderline personality disorder so that I could really understand I was with somebody who was mentally ill. Now, I was still in denial. So even though I was looking at borderline, I did not really understand that it was an illness. It was a mental disease. I'm stressing that because it's not just somebody who has problems, and if they just got it together, then they could just, no, this is somebody who has major serious problems. It's like, wanting to have a normal relationship with a borderline is like asking a man with one leg to run a marathon. That's insane. They can't do it. It's not their fault they only have one leg, but they're not capable of running a marathon without some kind of appendage. Some kind of appendage, put on them or something. If you're asking the borderline, if you're asking them to stop hurting you and to stop splitting on you and to stop cheating on you and to stop devaluing you and to stop making you crazy, you're asking a one-legged person to run a marathon. It's impossible. It's not going to happen. So that's the next thing. You got to start working on yourself. If you're still attached and still in denial and you can't leave, then you need to research what borderline personality disorder is, and you have to start looking at being a codependent. You have to understand that you yourself are sick. You yourself are also suffering from a mental illness, maybe not the same kind, but it's still insanity. The insanity that the person that you're with, the hope that will turn into a real relationship is insane. And you need to start understanding what codependence is. Your denial of that is going to be understandable. And that's part of the disease. Both borderline personality disorder and codependence, as well as drug addiction and alcoholism and other kinds of things, are diseases that tell you that they don't exist. It's a disease that tells you that you don't have that disease. So the denial is part of the disease. You know, for example, my borderline ex, if I told her that she was suffering from PTSD, she would have had no problem with that. If I told her that she was suffering from schizophrenia, multiple personalities, possessed by demons, she wouldn't have had any problem accepting that. Telling her she had borderline personality disorder, that flipped her out to such a degree where I became the worst, most destructive, evil person that had ever walked the planet. She was in denial. She knew something was wrong with her, but anything but the actual thing. The same is going to be true for you. You're going to do the same thing about your denial. Your belief that you can fix her or him. Your belief that if they just understood, if they could just feel how badly they'd hurt you, if you could just make sure not to trigger them. If only this, if I can just get them into therapy. And as long as I get them into therapy, because that was my big thing, I thought if I can just get her into therapy, then it'll all be okay. Looking back on it now, even if I had gotten her into therapy with a psychologist who deals with borderline personality disorder, I'm absolutely convinced it wouldn't have changed anything. She would have done what borderlines do, and same thing alcoholics and drug addicts do. They're very good at telling you what you want to hear and adopting the right things and saying the right things and then doing what they do. Doesn't mean anything. This is part of the mental illness. The kindest thing that you can do for yourself is to just assume that your borderline partner will never, ever get help and will never, ever be able to have a relationship. That's the kindest thing you can do for yourself. Maybe they can, maybe they can't. But they can't as long as you're with them. As long as you're with them, you're co-signing their, all of their issues, and you are not putting them in a position where they need to get help. So, I know that there are borderlines, there are some on this channel that are in therapy and are seeking to get better and are seeking to get help. So I know it does happen. But if you're in it, you might as well just assume that they can't and that they won't. That's the kindest thing you can do for yourself. When you can, get out. The kindest thing you can do for your borderline is to say to them, I love you, but this relationship is damaging to me. It's too damaging for me to continue. And so for my health, I need to leave, and I have to not have any contact with you because it's damaging for me to try and take care of you and to be with you. And if you can, if you still want to be with me, then I would ask that you go to therapy with a psychologist who is qualified to help somebody with borderline personality disorder. And if you can go see a psychologist twice a week for a year, call me in a year. You and I both know they won't do that. And that tells you, because you know that they have a mental illness, you know that they need help, you know that they need therapy. So in order for it to work, they have to know that too. And until they do, there's nothing you can do about it. So the kindest thing you can do for them is to say that to them, because if they do love you that much and they go get help, then you would be the one that actually got them into therapy for a year and help them onto the road of recovery, and then you guys can make your dream life come true. But more than likely, that's not going to happen. More than likely, they will discard you and they will find somebody else to fix them. And you will be the one that they remembered who made it challenging enough. Because the truth is, none of us seek help until it becomes too difficult. When it becomes too difficult to stay in it, we seek help. So it's your job to not give to them. Staying with them, badgering them, threatening them, promising them, crying, cajoling them, trying to coax them into therapy, that's not helping them. They're very good at telling you what you need to hear and then doing what they do. You know that. So after that, let's say after you've gotten out of the relationship, then what? Then you need to be in therapy. You need to be talking to a therapist. It's good to come on to places like this channel and to talk to other codependents and to share your stories with them and to be able to hear that you're not alone and that other people have gone through it. That is a really healing thing, and it helps you realize, oh my God, I was in a really messed up situation. Because when you're by yourself and you're isolated and you're in your stuff, you don't really realize. You think it's your fault. You did something wrong. And then when you talk to other people and you find out, wow, it's really not my fault. I was with somebody who was, who had one leg and couldn't run a marathon. Of course they couldn't be there for me. Of course they couldn't love me. They're dealing with this crazy, horrific mental illness that's making their life miserable. They don't have the capacity to give me what I wanted the whole time. Oh my God. I wasn't crazy. That it's helpful when you hear other people share that so you can understand. And then I recommend going to Codependence Anonymous and working the 12 steps, especially the inventory, the resentment, the expectations, your expectations and what you were trying to fix by being with the borderline. That's the thing you need to also really focus on. Once you can get past the denial and you're out of the relationship and you are in acceptance that you were with somebody who was not capable of giving you what you wanted, then the next question is, well, then what the hell were you doing with somebody that wasn't capable of giving you what you wanted? And then you find out all of the whatever childhood trauma you went through that made you seek out somebody who wasn't capable of loving you, because that's really the bottom line. You sought out somebody who wasn't capable of loving you, and you knew it the whole time. You won't know that until you start doing the work. You can't do this work by yourself. Let me make that very clear. You cannot do this work by yourself. You need help. So that's what I did. I went through all the things that I said. My channel, this channel was part of my therapy. Maybe start your own channel. Write down in a diary your thoughts and your feelings. Write a book. Do something. I thought about writing a book, and I didn't do that, and I don't think I'm going to do that. But you've got to take a look at it. So once you've done that, then start healing yourself. You got involved with them because you were broken, you were wounded. That's the real issue. And it's not your responsibility to help them or to fix them. Whatever damage they do to themselves is not your problem. That's why I say go no contact. Go no contact, because even you're just friends with them, it's going to stimulate you to want to be that caretaker, and you're not qualified to do that. That's not what they need. And it'll destroy you. It'll keep you in your denial. It'll keep you in the wound. What's most important about it is this. If you don't go no contact and completely disconnect from them, any contact you have will keep you in that wound, and that wound will reopen. To be honest, I've thought twice, about whether or not I should stay involved in this channel, because I'm so far removed from all the pain. I can remember a lot of things intellectually, but the pain of where I was at, and the obsession and the addiction and the self-shame that I was carrying around with me, and that horrible hole inside of me, that's all gone. I only know of that just because I can remember it. And I am grateful. I've kept videos where I'm talking to myself. I've made videos where I've told myself, Mike, watch this. You're feeling like this. This is what's happening right now. Don't ever talk to her again. So that was helpful for me. But having to try and go back there, I'm wondering if it's healthy for me to do that. I haven't decided if it's healthy or not for me to try and relive that pain. And I try and do that so that I can relate to you and help you understand where you're at, and be there with you. So, hopefully, that's been helpful for you. Those are my suggestions on what to do to get some healing. But the biggest thing is to really understand what it means that they have a mental illness. They're not just damaged, they're not just hurt, they're not in pain. It's not that there's somebody who just needs a little love and encouragement and they'll be okay. There are people like that have been through a lot, somebody who's been through traumatic experiences, and what they need is just somebody to hold them and hug them and love them and tell them that they're a good person, they'll be okay, and that will be enough to heal them. That is not the case here. These are people that are broken. It takes a lot for me to say that, but I mean, they're broken. Whatever happened to them broke things inside of them that makes them incapable of giving you what you need. They can find that, but they're going to have to find it on their own. You cannot give it to them, and it'll kill you. I'm dead serious about that. I don't want to get into specifics, but I've seen what happens to somebody who tries to stay conscious and healthy and stays attached to somebody with borderline personality disorder, and it literally kills them. And so, my suggestion to you is to go no contact as soon as possible, and get some help for yourself, and hopefully you'll end up, the way that I believe that I am now. I really feel like I've recovered from that. I still have my other issues. I'm still codependent and all that, but I'm not in that quicksand of hell of, that happens when you've been damaged by the disease of borderline personality disorder. And again, I'm being clear with my words. The borderline, yes, they're the agent through which the disease works, but they're as much a victim of the disease as you are. They don't really want to hurt anybody. That's my belief. I don't think they have any desire to hurt anybody. They just want to be loved and enjoy their life. But they're mentally ill, and they can't help but hurt you until they get treatment. And if you can see that, and if you can really grasp that they are mentally ill and they're not just disturbed or angry or hurt or whatever, that there's something broken up here. If you can understand that, then it'll be easier for you to get the hell out of their way, and it's really in other words, it's none of your business. You have no business trying to help somebody run a marathon hopping on one leg. It's not your business to be doing that. They need to be going and figuring out what they need to do to get what they need. That's not your job. And only a professional is going to be able to do that for them. All right. I've beaten a dead horse. I'll let it go. Those are my thoughts about some of the things that I've done to achieve some recovery from being in a relationship with a borderline. All right, that's it. Talk to you guys later.